It was a regular afternoon at Brown University when chaos exploded inside a classroom. Students were studying and preparing for their final exams. Suddenly, loud gunshots rang out in the Barus and Holley engineering building. Students screamed and froze in fear as a gunman opened fire without warning. Some students fell to the floor, while others tried to hide under desks or run for the door. Teachers and teaching assistants yelled for students to get down and stay quiet. The sound of footsteps and shouts echoed through the hallways as people ran for safety. When the first responders arrived, they found scenes of hurt and panic. Police and paramedics rushed into the building. They found students with serious injuries and 2 students who did not survive the shooting. Among them was a 19-year-old sophomore named Ella Cook. Ella was a normal student, full of life and bright energy. She was loved by her friends and family, and she was known for her warm smile and kind heart. But in that classroom, everything changed in an instant. The place that should have been safe turned into a scene of terror. As officers tried to secure the building, they called for everyone to stay away and keep safe. News of the shooting spread quickly across the campus and into the city of Providence. Parents and families started to worry about their children. Brown University sent out alerts telling students to shelter in place, lock doors, silence their phones, and stay hidden until authorities could make sure it was safe. Outside the building, police cars and emergency vehicles rushed to the scene, with lights flashing and sirens blaring. Families waited anxiously for news. Everyone wanted to know who was responsible and why this terrible event had happened. At first, police thought they had found someone who might be connected to the shooting. A person of interest was taken into custody early the next morning at a nearby hotel. But as hours passed and investigators looked at the evidence, they realized they did not have enough proof to hold him. The person was released, and the real shooter was still at large. This left everyone worried and unsure. Students and parents were relieved that one lead had ended, but scared because the real shooter had not been caught. Ella Cook's family in Birmingham, Alabama, was heartbroken. Friends remembered her as a bright light who always brought joy to those around her. They held a small service to honor her memory and share stories about her loving, happy nature. Many who knew her said she had dreams, plans, and hopes for the future, dreams that were suddenly cut short. Her name became one that people remembered, not just for being a victim, but for being a young woman with a shining heart. But as the investigation continued, more questions remained. Who was the shooter? Why did this happen? And how would the community heal from such a shocking event? The answers were still unknown, and everyone waited, hoping the truth would soon be revealed. The morning after the shooting, Brown University was quiet, but the tension in the air was heavy. Police were still at the scene, examining the classrooms, hallways, and stairwells where the chaos had unfolded. Crime scene tape blocked entrances as investigators looked for clues that might lead them to the shooter. Students who had survived the attack walked through campus in shock, hugging friends and comforting each other. Many were shaken and confused, replaying the terrifying moments in their minds. The university counselors were busy helping students deal with the trauma, while families waited anxiously for any updates. Ella Cook's dorm room was silent, a small shrine of flowers, candles, and notes left by friends. Her classmates remembered her as someone who was always ready to help, always smiling, and someone who made the hardest days feel lighter. Photos of her smiling at campus events or laughing in study groups reminded everyone of the life that had been lost too soon. People began sharing stories about her online, posting memories of her kind words, her energy, and the little things she did that made her a bright light to those around her. Meanwhile, authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to the shooting. Security cameras from nearby buildings were reviewed, Interviews with witnesses were conducted, and tips from the public were collected. The police confirmed that there had been multiple shots fired and that several students were injured.
In addition to the two who had died, questions about the motive or the identity of the shooter were still unanswered. Every lead seemed to bring up more questions than answers, and the investigation was moving slowly. The uncertainty kept students, parents, and staff on edge. The Brown University community tried to find ways to cope. Vigils were held on campus where students lit candles, left flowers, and read messages in honor of Ella and the other victims. Faculty and administrators spoke about resilience and hope, reminding students to support one another. But even with these moments of comfort, the fear lingered. No one felt completely safe, and every loud noise made some students jump. The shadow of the shooting had changed the campus forever. As the days went by, the family of the second student who died, Muhammad Aziz Umarzokov, a freshman, shared their grief online. The entire campus mourned. Students posted letters, photos, and messages expressing shock, sorrow, and solidarity. They shared memories of walking to class together, studying in the library, and enjoying campus life. These acts of remembrance helped the community stay connected, even in fear and sadness. Then, just as investigators thought they might be gaining new insight into the attack, an anonymous tip arrived. It mentioned a possible location connected to the shooter. Police immediately prepared to act, but nothing about this tip was clear. Was it a real lead or another false alarm? The tension rose as authorities rushed to check the information. Students and staff watched from a distance, hoping for answers, but fearing the unknown. The search for the shooter had only just taken a new turn, and what they would find next could change everything. The tip that investigators received led them to a quiet neighborhood near Providence. Police moved carefully, checking houses and cars, looking for any sign of the shooter. Every lead was treated seriously, but the tension was high. Students and families waited anxiously for updates, hoping that the person responsible for the attack would soon be found. The city felt the weight of fear and grief, but there was also a sense of determination. People wanted justice for Ella Cook and the other victim, Muhammad Aziz Umarzokov. Meanwhile, Brown University officials continued their work to support students. Counseling sessions were available for anyone struggling to cope. Classes were paused in the most affected buildings, and faculty reminded students to check on each other. Messages from the university emphasized the importance of community and resilience. Even in the face of tragedy, the students were reminded to stay connected and watch out for one another. The campus was still shaken, but slowly, people tried to find ways to move forward. Police announced that after weeks of investigation, the authorities were still working to identify the shooter. They urged anyone with information to come forward and assured the public that no stone would be left unturned. Families and friends of the victims felt relief that the investigation was ongoing, but frustration and sadness remained. Ella's friends spoke openly about their loss, sharing stories of her laughter, kindness, and energy. Her life, though cut short, had left a lasting impact on everyone she met. Memorials continued on campus, with flowers, notes, and candles honoring both victims. As the days passed, the Brown University community found strength in one another. Students who had been in the classroom during the shooting formed support groups. Faculty and staff offered guidance and comfort. Parents and families of students sent messages of hope and care. The campus slowly started to feel alive again, but the memory of that day would not fade. Every student who walked through the halls remembered the fear, the chaos, and the bravery of those who helped others survive. Even though the shooter had not yet been caught, the story of Ella Cook inspired many. Her family described her as a bright light, someone whose presence made life better for everyone around her. Her classmates continued to honor her memory by sharing her stories, her dreams, and the moments that defined her spirit. In the midst of tragedy, her light remained, reminding everyone that love and kindness can endure even in the darkest times. The investigation into the shooting continued, leaving unanswered questions, but the courage and unity of the Brown University community sent a powerful message. Even in moments of horror, people could come together, support one another, and keep the memory of those lost alive. And as the campus healed, one thing remained clear: Ella Cook's life and spirit would never be forgotten.